to a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Thank you, happy.
Hello, Trekkies. Welcome again to another week of A Captain's Log. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bryan, the ambassador to the fans, Star Trek fans. As always, I'm joined by Lili Fox-Lim, my wonderful co-host. She's on Communications Channel this week on Cestus 3. And of course, I'm joined here on the USS Orus by Rogg, our animated android. He's got some cocoa with us. He's our co-host. Now, we have some news and interviews to get to before we get back to our interview, part 2 with Rachael Ancheril.
She's also a photographer!
Yes, Raj, good point there, absolutely.
And BK, before we start the interview with Rachael, let's check out the news. Star Trek Picard will have quite a different look next season, one that will be familiar to fans of the overall Star Trek universe. Patrick Stewart will be returning in his iconic role as Jean-Luc Picard and will be joined by the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation. LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, and Brent Spiner.
Ready as ever.
Appropriately, the announcement was made on First Contact Day. Next season will be the third and supposedly last of Star Trek Picard. It's scheduled to begin streaming in early 2023 on Paramount+.
Yes, we have a lot of interesting news to get to here on A Captain's Log as I look through my pad. Have you seen these latest trailers of Star Trek Strange New Worlds? If you haven't, go to the Paramount Plus's YouTube channel and type in Star Trek Strange New Worlds teaser trailers. Now, here's what's interesting. Each main cast member has their own 30-second to 1-minute trailer. You have to check it out. But the biggest thing is you get to see actual footage from the series, the brand new series that's coming out May the 5th. Check it out.
Raj, are you still with us?
You mean Captain Kirk Styrofoam Rock?
Raj. This one's interesting. I just saw it on Paramount Plus recently. The 4K director's cut of Star Trek The Motion Picture, originally released in 1979, is now available on, you guessed it, Paramount Plus. And it was released on First Contact Day. Yes, a lot of coincidences there. This is an enhanced version of the 2001 director's cut of that 1979 film, directed by Robert Wise. It was Star Trek's first big screen adventure. Now, no word yet on a DVD or Blu-ray release, but you can catch it on Paramount Plus.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Today we're interviewing Rachael Ancheril from Star Trek Discovery. Check out these facts.
We're in part 2 of our Captain's Log interview with Rachael Ancheril here on A Captain's Log. If you missed part 1, be sure to check out last week's episode. So is this breaking news? Are you officially going to be at your first Star Trek convention this year in Las Vegas, Rachael?
I haven't been to a convention yet. I've always sort of shied away from conventions because as much as I love people, I get scared of crowds. Again, awkward. I'm such a joker. You're going to be like, why do we have this girl on the show?
I love it. No.
Sorry. So I don't know what that's going to be like. This year will be my very first year, which is very exciting. I'm also a hugger, so I'm hoping with like everything with the pandemic is going to be, I don't know. I hear we're a little bit more stricter up here in Canada than you guys are. So pandemic, I think, is still fresh in our minds, I guess. I don't know. So, but I'm a hugger, so I'm so excited to meet everyone who's been so kind to me and who's going to be there. I'm so excited. Like I said, I did not expect this. I really did not. And I've been introduced to fandoms before, and they haven't always been the best of experience. But this one, again, the love is overwhelming. It's like 99.9% kindness. What fandom gives you 99.9% kindness? right?
Trekkies.
So, yes. So thank you to everyone for the love. It's amazing, really.
Okay, now if you do make it there, it's a deal, Rachel. I'll see you in person and say hi. Star Trek Las Vegas 2022.
All signs point to yes, that I'll be there. So, yeah, it'll be fun. Not 100%. I haven't signed the contract yet, but it is looking very. It's like 99%.
That's awesome.
Okay, that I'll be there.
I totally understand. Actor projects being booked are a top priority.
I'm not a suitcase girl. I'm a carry-on girl. So if you're gonna be there, I'm gonna have to plan the allocation of space for a crimper to go into my.
I'm sure there'd be a hairstylist there.
All these amazing cosplay people, like all
Yes.
these people who are like so creatively talented. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for that too. I've seen a few Nhan photos and I am so impressed. I mean, my idea of being able to do this business is like putting band-aids over my eyebrows and like trying to draw in the lines. But to see these people who do like full on, like it looks so good. I'm so impressed, really.
A captain's log returns in a moment.
Welcome back to A Captain's Log. We're gaining momentum, heading into warp speed on our interview here with Rachael Ancheril, Commander Nhan from Star Trek Discovery.
The Star Trek universe is continuously expanding with new movies and TV series. Would you welcome the opportunity to perform in more Star Trek productions beyond Discovery?
Lili. Your guess is as good as mine. We're guessing here. Oh, it was so good to be back. It was so good to be back. And as you know, Nhan has been through so many different wardrobe looks. She's a clothes horse. I always think Nhan's wardrobe, like, I mean, her closet must take up her entire quarters on the ship. It was so good to be back. And it was so nice that it was Alan writing it again. It was amazing. And to see everyone. And once again, like I said, I'm a hugger. And to not be able to hug everyone was extremely difficult because I get on set and I'm like, hey, oh my God, and I want to. And then you have the COVID people that are like, you can't do that. No touching, and you're like, I just want to hug you. So I look forward to when I can actually do that again. That'll be so great. I'm a bear hugger.
Great answer.
I know I was thrilled to see your character, Commander Nhan, back on Star Trek Discovery this last month. It was the episode titled Rubicon. Plus, you're in a prominent position on the bridge standing next to Michael Burnham, who's sitting in the captain's chair for most of the episode. I'm sure that was intriguing to return to the set with all of your castmates. Can you tell us briefly your bit on your recent return?
It was, I could tell you a funny story about the wardrobe. I remember I went in for my wardrobe fitting and they're so good to me in wardrobe. And I remember I walked in and I pulled back the curtain to go into the change room and I see this gray jumpsuit and I'm like, what is this? What is this? Also, because it's pandemic time, like, I mean, I was in quarantine for a million years and definitely gained the quarantine 15, and you're gonna put me in this super tight jumpsuit. Okay, this is fun. And I was like, Gersha, what about the skant? Can we do the skant again? And she was like, well, I'll pitch it, but I don't think so. Go back for my second fitting. There's no skant there. It's the gray jumpsuit. And I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. But it was so good to fill those boots again. And it was so good to see everyone. And to even like prosthetics is one of my favorite places to be. That's one of my favorite stops on my day on set. Spending the mornings with that group and then cleanup time with that group. And it's so fun. And I always see it's like Dougie and David and Emily once in a while, but it's usually Dougie and David that I would always see in the trailer. And let me tell you, there's a lot of laughs, there's a lot of songs, there's a lot of dancing, there's a lot of music. It is a good time. It's a party time. Yeah, it's really fun.
Every actor loves a happy set, so I can imagine. I can tell genuinely through your eyes and through your story that it was an awesome time on Discovery. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's great.
Yeah. No, well, you want happy sets too, right? Like you want to have that amazing energy because your days are already long as it is. The shoot times are really long. If people are miserable, it just like it makes those days go by like, So I don't know. I might be a little too happy on set all the time. I'm like that person that's like, "Good morning, hi." You can always hear me coming. I think everyone can hear me. They hear my laugh. They hear you can hear me coming from a mile away. I'm not subtle.
Rachael, according to your profile on Memory Alpha, the Star Trek Online Encyclopedia, it says that you're active in photography and illustration, and you're also an avid equestrian. Tell us about those interests and where our viewers can find your work.
Sure, yeah. Well, the illustration thing, like I said, I went to an arts high school, so visual arts was my thing, and this is going to be a long answer because I kind of went through a couple of different educations before I ended up in a career where I don't use any of my education. But illustration is something that I really loved. I loved fashion illustration, and I went to school. One of my educations was in fashion design, and that was to learn how to illustrate for designers. So I wanted to be able to do like ads and conceptual drawings and that kind of thing for fashion designers. Photography, the first time I ever picked up a camera, well, I've loved cameras since I was a kid. I was the kid that as soon as my granddad got his first video camera, I was like, oh my God. And I was in everyone's face with the video camera. And a couple of my girlfriends, when we were younger and we'd have sleepovers, we would do like fake commercials. We'd pick up like a random, like, oh, this is a bench for ants, and we would do these ads. And so I always loved being with cameras. And then I really used the first film camera I did. I wanted to be a police officer once upon a time. And so my forensics class, part of that was doing forensic photography. And so that was my first time ever with like a film camera, and I loved it. And then I got my first SLR with my other half, and we went to Europe on our honeymoon. And, honeymoons are supposed to be so like lovey-dovey. And I mean, and it was lovely, except we were fighting over this camera, over who got, it was my turn. Like, you've already taken your 15 minutes and now it's my turn. And so we're fighting over a camera. Okay. So we fixed that when we came home and got another camera. And then we started shooting a bunch of stuff together, like just for experience. Like we were photographing weddings and events and just random stuff. Like I was doing, pregnancy photos for friends, and we really, really loved. Like both of us loved it. He's gone into a totally different avenue with cameras, and so have I. So it's been very complimentary. But I was always. I mean, I think even as doing illustration, the visual arts background, and even acting, right? I always wanted to put stuff out there that actually made people think, or it meant something. It wasn't just a picture of a pretty building, that there was some thought to it. So we have this amazing art thing that happens here in Toronto. It's like art exhibits all over the city, like right through till dawn. And it's so fun. It's called Luminato. And so when I got a brand new camera, and it was my first time out with this camera. I didn't know what the heck I was doing because it was very different. It's a beast. She still intimidates me to this day. But I remember there was this homeless man, it was at Dundas Square. So it says all signs for crossing. And it's like, it's like an X. So everyone's crossing, all cars are stopped. And my mate was pulling me through the crowd, right? Because there's people everywhere. And I was trying to get a photo of this man. And I wanted to talk to him so badly. And he is lying on the cement, and no one's paying attention to him. And he's surrounded by people. And it brought up the concept of loneliness for me. It was very like, and that photo, I've never printed it. I've never showed it to anyone. It's my personal photo, because I feel like, number one, I took his photo without asking his permission. But it was like a very private moment. And I love that. It's one of my favorite photos I've taken. And it's not a perfect photo, but it's the meaning behind it. So I think what I was searching for with visual arts and what I'm searching for with photography is to actually, and acting is to actually say something and to, I'm a huge Stanley Kubrick fan, huge Stanley Kubrick. I have watched his films a billion times, each one. I could watch them on replay, because I feel like I get something different every time I watch them. And I find him such an inspiration as a director. And that's one of my goals. And I think in having something to say, I think this is, other opportunities in my life with writing and directing. That's those, like, that art background has sort of culminated into giving me this foundation to sort of find myself as an artist. I don't even know if that answered your question.
Yes, it's all come full circle for you, Rachael. You're starting out making commercials with friends, like you said earlier, using your home camera at sleepovers with your friends, and now, Rachael, you're living the dream.
That's so kind of you to say, because sometimes when you, that's actually, thank you for saying that, because sometimes it's life in the arts is not a normal life. Like there's so many times I could tell you where I've been like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what have I done? Because it's not like I had come from a background of wanting to do careers that were very methodical and climbing up the ladder and rung by rung. And this is how you do it. Here's your game plan. This is how you do it. And I find it ironic that I'm in this industry where there's no game plan.
Rachel, please share with us a favorite scene or moment our fans would recognize on camera during your journey through Star Trek Discovery.
David Linus, right?
Right.
He's one of my favorite humans and aliens alike. And I know you've seen the blooper when his teeth come flying out of his mouth. And I could not, all of us, it was like, I don't know, Anson had that photo of the five of us with the laughter. And it's, again, one of my favorite photos because it just brings that back. And poor David was just trying to keep going with it. Like he was being a professional. And the rest of us, I think it was like 3:00 in the morning. And we were like, almost delirious, right? And you heard the teeth hit the wall.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Linus, you okay? You look a little... Yes, I hear it's going around.
Bless you.
And that's the first time we saw you. Fans know you. You're standing in the turbolift with Pike, this alien, and and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Captain Pike brings his own security officer aboard, and she's a red shirt. Is she gonna die?
Right? And you know
didn't.
what? That scene is one of my favorite memories from Discovery too. But yeah, like the shoot dates can be longer, and but it's like doing a night shoot on location, right? Like you gotta, the hours could be unconventional at times.
Yes. So. You guys are shooting 14 episodes of Discovery, right? Gosh, in one season, that's insane. Those long days.
Now, Rachael, please tell us about this organization that you want to bring into the fold for our viewers to learn more.
The equestrian thing too, just to touch on that, because like animal advocacy is a huge thing for me, and that's something else that's come for full circle for me. Because I grew up like my mom comes up a lot in these interviews because she's a Trekkie, but because also with she was the one that sparked my love of animals. I grew up in the country, and we had horses, and we had chickens at one point, we had a goat at one point, we had big dogs, but the love of nature. We would catch praying mantises together and put them in jars so I could study them and then release them. Or, my mom caught a queen bee once, which is crazy, and then she'd release it, and so, and right now there's, I'm sort of chatting with the Canadian Horse Defense and talking about horses being exported live for meat and in deplorable conditions. And so that love of horses that I've had since I was a kid, who were my only friends out in the country, you don't have neighbors, my only friends in the country, and when my parents are going through a really bad divorce, they like let me cry into them, and they let me spread my wings and fly. Like I don't think people give animals the credit that they really should give them. And so all of those loves have really been my foundation for where I am today, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is so nice of you to share with us, Rachel. You know, I have a horse lover in my family. My daughter volunteers in Southern California on Earth at horse ranches and is studying towards a career as a veterinarian. So from one horse lover to another.
That's so cool.
From one horse lover to another. Tell her I said a big thank you for doing that and a lot of love to her. And also, just a side note, there's this great book called She Flies Without Wings. And we used to go to the Berkshires every fall, and I would ride while I was down there. And I met this lady in one of my classes, and she was so awesome. And she was like, I feel like I have to give you this book. And she goes, I've only been able to find this at Martha's Vineyard, but I want to give this to you. And she wrote a special message for me with her address and her phone number on the inside. Should actually send her another note now that it's fresh in my mind. Yeah. But she gave me this book. And so when I came home, I read it in the car all the way back. And I finished it once I got home. And then I bought her a copy and I sent it to her way back then. Because it was such a good book. But for any horse lover, She Flies Without Wings is one of the most, it's amazing books about that human-horse connection. It is, I mean, it goes back so far, right?
Rachel, please tell us about the title of this book one more time for our viewers throughout the galaxy.
She Flies Without Wings?
She Flies Without Wings. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Really, it's such an honor to be here, and I definitely do want to give a shout out to, I had to write them down because I can forget sometimes, because there's so many groups that I absolutely adore. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Mercy for Animals, the Canadian Horse Defense, Toronto Wildlife Centre, Sheldrick Trust, and Animal Justice. Those are my very favorites, and of course PETA is on there as well. But specifically this one, I want to give a shout out to Sheldrick Trust because I found them about a year ago. And if you love elephants, you can adopt a baby orphan elephant, and they are adorable, and they will send you videos. And I've learned so much about elephants. I'm wearing their shirt right now, Sheldrick Trust. But I love them. I love them. They're such an amazing group, and they really care, and that means a lot. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. We'll put their website up there too.
You know, those are all fantastic shout outs, Rachel. Let's give our viewers a moment to check more information on these great call outs you've shared with us. Trekkies, this is why we're connecting with you on the other sides of human compassion versus just Star Trek. It's people and their connections with our communities, where we live, and where our neighbors are as well. Please check out these websites Rachel provided with facts here on A Captain's Log. Oh, Rog wants to share what he's watching.
Hey, I'm watching some orphan elephant videos. I love their little trunks. Did you know that you can take a picture of an elephant while it's in the water? Because they have their trunks on.
Now, Raj.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Bryan and I have loved speaking with you and hearing all of your stories. So inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Rachel, you're very kind. You know, Lili and I want to truly thank you for joining us here on A Captain's Log.
Yeah, okay. You got to promise me you're doing it in Toronto. I'll meet you for a skate at City Hall.
It's a deal, Rachel. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
So cool.
Trekkies, don't forget to visit www.sheldrickwildlifetrust.org.
Next week, be sure to join us for an interview with one of the greatest stunt actors in Hollywood. He doubled for Jonathan Frakes' Commander Riker, plus 30 more characters in Star Trek. It's Mark Riccardi. See you next week. Bye for now.
Hello, happy, my home.